One specific memory that stands out for me goes back to my first year of teaching. I'm now in my 9th year, so it goes a ways back. And it was while I was in my classroom one day during what we call prep time, which is when the students are able to go to with a different teacher to do gym or music or what have you, while we as teachers have the opportunity to prepare for the next lessons or the days ahead. So I'm in the classroom on my own, getting things ready, ordering things on the students' desks. And I look to my door and I hear some laughter. And I see these 2 small children from kindergarten. I cannot remember what the second child looks like, but the one that stood out to me was a little black girl, sweet as a button, beautiful chocolate skin, hair in, twists and her baubles and everything. And she's beaming and looking back at me. She stops at my door. She looks at me and she stares and she says, "You look like me."
Wow.
And it was one of those it just kind of like caught me in that moment. And I thought to myself, just because I'm here in this place, it didn't matter what I did. I don't know this child. I've never met her. I haven't obviously had the opportunity to teach her. But she, at her tender young age, could stand there and look at me and recognize how profound of a moment that was and how significant it was for her. And it was in that moment that I realized that I should never, ever underestimate the power of placement. I had worked so hard to get into school, to get through school, to push my way into the profession with this mindset of wanting to make such an impact, of really wanting to reach, especially those who are marginalized. And in that moment, it became clear to me. I said to God, Lord, if this is the only reason why I've been placed here at this time, why I went through all that I went through to get here, if it was only for that one moment, it was worth it. It was worth it. Spending all that time being focused on making a difference, I wasn't realizing that my impact transcended beyond doing to being.
Wow.
I just needed to be present. I just needed to be present in that moment. And really, since then, I've learned never, ever to take an opportunity that's presented to me for granted. There's a reason why I'm in the room. There's a reason why I've been placed in certain circles, right? Exposed to certain people in the midst of certain conversations. Because what matters even more sometimes than what I can do in a situation or what impact I can make by doing is just my presence there. And that's just something that I've taken with me, and I just continue to apply it, asking God, why am I here? What's the purpose? What would you have me do, or what would you have me not do? Help me to persist, even in the most difficult situations and the most difficult circumstances, because there's a reason why I'm here. I may not know it. I may never know it, but there's a reason.
I'm just picturing the young girl at the door looking up at you and just being like awestruck, like, wow, you look like me. That's literally sticking with me right now. That moment, it translates into your life. In what areas would you say that it kind of translates?
Yeah, I would say any situation. So it could be a conversation with strangers. It could be, at Walmart, right? Just the other day, I was there and I didn't realize how much this other individual who was a stranger to me just needed to talk. It started off with talking about conditioner, and it translated to this woman speaking about how the season's been so rough on her, how, she can't get together with her family. And like, she was just kind of going into this whole story about kind of where she is mentally and emotionally in this moment. And I thought to myself, because I was planning to just walk in there and kind of get to where I needed to be and get my stuff done. And felt the need to pause. I felt the need to slow down and to be present. And in that moment, I really felt like I needed to be present for this other person who I had never known, I'd never met. But it was, again, that reminder that I've placed you here at this specific time for this specific purpose. And I just want you to sit in it, you know? Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's a very simple example. It can get complex. It can be in the realm of business, right? Just being present in the marketplace, mm-hmm. and being an example and an image for other Black women who are kind of coming after us, right? And just looking for opportunities within their own spheres, or looking to see, you know, what it is that they're called to, right? They're just seeing a representation. I can't tell you how many times representation has been so powerful for me to be able to see a woman of color in a place of prominence, in a position of prominence. Mm-hmm. Look at all the women who are standing up today, right? They have paved the way simply by being present. Mm-hmm. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to get it all right, but they just need to be present. I just need to see them to know that it's possible. And that's what I felt like I was for that little girl that day. I had no impact on her. There's nothing I can cling to say that I had any kind of impact on her other than being there. That's it. I'll absolutely never forget her. And what's funny is I never went back. I never went to inquire. I think maybe because I was new to the school, so I thought that it'd be kind of strange if I went over to the class and started to ask questions, you know, who's this little girl? But I felt like that moment was for both of us. It was for her, and it was for me too.
Wow.
It was for both of us, yeah.
Wow. You said that there were like challenges, and you said that everything that you went through, this moment kind of confirmed that everything you went through was worth it. Did any of that challenge relate to your own inner maybe struggles with not seeing people like yourself in prominent positions, or was it just completely like not related to that?
Absolutely. I would say that when I was in elementary school, and even in high school, I don't believe I've ever had a teacher of color until I entered university. Wow. So being, you know, one of the only Black students in my class throughout elementary school, of course, that expanded in high school, but still not having that representation in the teaching staff, I think it does something to your psyche to not see someone that looks like you in some sort of a leadership role, or in a place where you can aspire to be, I guess, if you will. Because, I mean, teachers hold a lot of privilege in the mind of a child, right? Mm-hmm. And so when they look up to that teacher, they're thinking, okay, I'd like to do that one day, perhaps, or they're looking to, you know, someone else in society and saying, I'd like to do that. I'd like to do what she's doing one day, but it doesn't seem possible as possible when you're not seeing people who reflect you. Also, I can kind of speak to the struggle I had with my own self-confidence, kind of walking through my teaching program. Even before getting into the program, I didn't think I would make it. I had such a, I guess you could say, a deficit mentality about what my capabilities were, right? And it took the right people to speak into my potential. And I feel like without them, I would not have tried, because I didn't feel like I was capable. So it did take a lot of pushing, and it did take a lot of, it took a few uncomfortable moments, even in teachers college, where we had certain, you know, just experiencing bias. I'm just going to speak very candidly there, or not candidly, if you will. But there were certain situations that we faced that were a bit unfair, where we were asked to be, you know, the Black spokesperson within the room, that sort of thing. I was one of two in my entire cohort who were Black that graduated graduated. And you know what? One of the only two that actually got hired right out of school. So it was kind of like one of those lessons where, you know, you're going in thinking that you're not capable, or you're being singled out for the color of your skin, being asked to be the spokesperson of your race. It wasn't the easiest. It wasn't the easiest to climb through. It wasn't the easiest to get through, but yet making it on the other side, still with this strong determination within my spirit to say, I want to make a difference. Within my own program, it was a master's level program. And so my focus for my research was really on reaching those who are marginalized within our schools and wanting to educate my fellow peers who were entering the teaching profession on how to do that and how to do that successfully, because it is possible. It's not impossible. You know, going in with such passion and such determination to make that difference, to do. But yet, you know, within my first year, God shows me, you don't have to do as much as you thought. You know, most of what you're going to do is just literally where I place you. Just be obedient in the places that I place you. That's it.
Wow.
And just come watch me work. So I'm amazed. I sit back and I watch what God is doing all the time. And yeah, it's awesome.
You know, your education and support for people like you, it doesn't stop at teaching. So recently you have hopped on another endeavor. I hope you don't mind talking about it, but I think it's so key because it kind of carries over what you already stand for and what you already do in the education sector. So would you like to share a little bit about how you kind of take this a step further and how you support young women today?
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity to do that. So I am now the founder of Eyes Wide Open. It is an idea that God placed on my heart many years ago, actually in my first year of teaching, believe it or not, 2 months in. And I remember at that time, okay, God, you're showing me a lot in a little space of time. Okay, we just went through how many years of school, and you're telling me, okay, it was 2 months in that He placed that burden on my heart to continue what I'd been so passionate about all those years. Because, you know, even through school, every paper that I got, I found some kind of way to tie it back to, you know, anti-oppression and, you know, speaking out against stereotypes of Black people in history and in film. And it was just something that was a burden on my heart to really reach those who have been sidelined by society. And so I thought about the kind of struggles that I've been through. I thought about some of the challenges that I faced, and they have not been to any degree as challenging as most have faced. But yet, I know that what I have walked through and the things that I have experienced, the learning that I've taken from those things can then go back and help someone else, you know, just by example, to say, this is what you don't do.
Right.
This is how you can avoid this particular pitfall. And I also want to be able to equip women, young women, to be able to have a better start and have maybe an earlier start than I might have had. And so really working around, I mean, we've launched with coaching, but it's also including mentorship, which is going to roll out soon, probably later this year, 2021, or even walking into 2022. We want to just kind of be, or I want to just kind of be very mindful of offering value to my clients and making sure that everyone receives the kind of support that they need. But it's really in the areas of your emotional, relational, your spiritual, and vocational well-being. That's really where it's focused. And I just want to see women thrive. I want to see them soar. I don't want to see any left behind, especially in the kind of cycles that keep women stuck for so long, and almost feeling as though you're starting life late. I want to give that opportunity to somebody else coming up behind me, kind of like that, passing on the baton.
Yes.
I want to pass it on and just make sure we're not leaving any gaps.
One thing that you said that stuck out to me earlier on in our conversation was that there's power in placement. So focusing on that phrase, is there anything that you want to leave listeners with regarding that? There's power in placement. And if there's anyone, I guess, who might have felt or feel in this moment that, you know, they're not where they should be, or they should be further along, or their presence in a particular field or sector doesn't matter as much, if they don't believe that, what would you say to those people?
I'd say every moment counts.
Mm-hmm.
Every moment counts. That God wastes nothing. Mm-hmm. And that everything that we walk through in life, in every season, in every place that we are allowed to exist, you know, there is purpose in it, and never ever to take it for granted. I used that Walmart example for a reason, because it was so simple. It had nothing to do with my significance. It had nothing to do with my status. Mm-hmm. I was a human being who was placed in the right place at the right time to encourage somebody. It can be as simple as that. And so when I say never underestimate the power of placement, never underestimate every moment that you were given in this life to make an impact, no matter how big or how small. Mm-hmm. Right? You don't have to be on a stage mm-hmm. to make the kind of impact that can transform somebody's life, that can change them, that can uplift them, that can comfort them, whatever it may be. We might not even ever know exactly the significance of the presence that we carry, but to never sell ourselves short simply because of where we are or where we like to be. You know, every moment matters.
You just spoke to me, sis. You spoke to me. No, that's so powerful. It's so powerful. And the effort that we give in every single moment counts too. It's like sometimes we can limit our effort because we don't feel like that moment or, you know, where we are in this journey is significant. But it's like, no. Your 100% effort is required in what you might deem the valley season as much as it is in the mountain season, you know? So it's like sometimes you will never know the impact that you have. You're right. But the fact is you're there. The fact is that you are being.
Be present. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Be present. When you're present, then you're able to do, then you're able to be and recognize, just in order to recognize the moment.
That's right.